Hey guys, what's up? Your boy got a commission. Whew. So a friend of mine asked me if it would be possible to make a water bottle holster for her to take with her horse while she goes on walks, you know, something that can clip onto the saddle, and she gave me this picture to start with. Make something like this, and she absolutely magnanimously gave me pretty much free rein creatively. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you sort of the steps that I went down to decide the final design that I wanted to do, the constraints that were put on me, spoiler alert, there were hardly any, and then obviously I'm going to show you some lovely glossy images of the finished product. So please, won't you join me? So what I've done is measured the bottom. I've come up with my pattern here in a few measurements that I have needed to change. And this is the point of patterning. I've adjusted it. But what I've decided to do is actually have the end of this vertical strap be circular and have a separate panel that I put on. So now that we've got the pattern, the next step is cutting it all out. Hey guys, we'll get right back to the exciting close-up footage shortly, but just quickly to do a bit to camera, how do you tell when the leather is at the right moisture level to carve it and tool it properly? Well, it's when it feels slightly cool to the touch on your cheek, such as like this. So even though you can see that this has actually returned to its normal color, the water is inside of the leather, and when I hold it up to my cheek, it feels pleasantly cool. So that means that this is ready for me to continue carving, so I'll plonk you back down on the table and we'll continue with the pretty visuals. Okay, so now that we have finished the tooling and shaping on this little hummingbird piece, it's time to get some color into this before we assemble it. Now this was requested to be medium to dark in color, so what I'm going to use is English Bridal. I'm a total fanboy for Phoebings, by the way, and they haven't sponsored this video, but I wish that they would. And as well as our English Bridal, we're going to use a little bit of this Whiskey Antique. So Grant, what's antiquing? Good question. Let's move this crap out of the way so that I can talk about it. So just looking at the star of our show, what you can hopefully see is that I've worked a lot of different depths into it. Now the thing about all of these varying depths is that if we just put dye over the top of this, it's not as apparent. So I'm just going to scoop this up and we're really going to try and get this down into those deep parts on the piece. I'm not going to let it sit for very long at all before I get a bit of paper towel and we start pulling it back. Oh, I love the brown color on this. So I'm purposefully not scraping out of those deeper parts in the leather, and you can see that in those lines in the wings and in all of the outlines there, we do have that rich, rich brown. So you can hopefully see on this piece now that all of the deeper parts of the image have a lot of that antiquing dye stuck in there. And what I'm going to do is let this sit and dry. I want this to be absolutely bone dry before I go putting any other kind of dye on it or anything like that. In leatherworking, there are a lot of very satisfying sounds. However, in all of leatherworking, the best sound is that made by the humble edge beveler. This word is final and discussion will not be tolerated. Now, like most things that are worth doing, there are a couple of different ways that you can burnish leather. The way that I like to do it is just with a block of beeswax. Oh yeah, get a close-up of this gross gnarled old bit of beeswax. And a slicker, otherwise known as a block of wood. All that I like to do is apply liberally to one edge, find the appropriate burnishing channel, and get stuck into it. Maybe one day I'll be able to afford and have space to put one of those rotary wheels that burnishes leather edges, but today is not that day, so I get a workout. And if me calling this a workout doesn't key you into how sedentary my lifestyle is, well boy howdy. And just like that, you have a burnished edge. So if you've watched my videos before, sorry for doing this again, but I do like to do this just because this is a bit of effort, so I like to show off the fruits of that effort and show you the difference between them. So here you can see one edge that is burnished. See that because we got the edge beveler on it, we haven't had any mushrooming of the edge. So it is a little bit of effort, but I personally really do think that it's worth it. Now that we have finished burnishing everything, purely to aid the construction process, which is coming next, all I'm going to do is real quick, that is 23, so I want that to be 11 and a half. I'm getting my silver pen and I'm marking the center point. Thinking. Okay, order of operations. Right, so I think that what I'm going to do is... Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two straps into circles, and then I'm going to attach those straps to this according to the pattern that I had already made at those predetermined heights, and we do have a little water bottle here to test the fit along the way, so that's what will be happening next. And here is a pro tip for threading your needles if you do use a waxed thread. Using the nail on your thumb, and I'm using the thumb with the short nail to show that anyone can do it, just pinch it onto the meat of your index finger and pull it, and you should notice that the very end of the thread, now rather than being circular, comes down to a chisel point. And all this does is just make it easier to slip directly through the needle. Thanks for hanging on with me till the end. Now, as promised, the glossy close-ups of the finished product. Since this was a commission, I don't actually have the finished object to hand with me at the moment because it's been delivered to my customer. Because it's a commission. Because someone paid me to make something for them? I'm just as confused as you are. Are there things that I would do differently were I to attack this a second time? Of course there are. There are those with every single project, and if you're being honest with yourself, there should always be something that you would do differently, because otherwise, what have you learned from what you just did? But at the end of the day, I had a very happy customer, I had a very happy crafter, and we had a functional bottle holster. So I hope that you guys enjoyed watching just as much as I enjoyed making. If you did, feel free to hang around. But at any rate, you guys take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Come on, autofocus, work with me here. Oh, it's not autofocus, is it? It's manual focus. There we go.